Good morning, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. I'm here with Money Mike, and we are the Luzerne County boys because we both grew up there. Mike, I hope you had, I shouldn't say I hope you had a good week because I know neither one of us did, but I hope you have great plans for the holiday and you can stay safe through all this nonsense because we've got a lot of closures in town. The cases are way up, and they've cut everything down to 25% capacity and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, we're battling two different things. We're battling the point spread, the bookmaker, COVID, politics. I mean, it's what a year this 2020 is. Good morning.
Yeah, it is. Good morning, Jim. You're right. This is a year we'll never forget. We're battling everything. We just gotta have thick skin and do our best. But the last 3 weeks, man, I've had the games I was winning early in the year, building up that big bankroll. I've sort of turned the other way, which we know the bad beats at the end of the year usually even out. They say so. I'm at 41-30 now, which is 58%, which is still on the plus side some, but I had a pretty good edge going in. I had about 6-7 weeks that were pretty strong. But, like I said, losing the games that we were winning earlier now are going the other way. But as far as Turkey Day, well, I'm just going to go down to Black Bear Diner, have a little turkey dinner, I guess, because there's who doesn't want to do anything, this and that. My family's here, but everybody's, nobody's really looking to do much. So that's fine with me. I could do that early in the afternoon and come home and watch some games because, like I say, I just made one play early for Thursday's game, and we'll talk about that. It'll be the Steelers -3, but you're not going to see that number anywhere the rest of the week, I'm sure, because Baltimore's has some issues with the COVID and all. But that's the one play that I've definitely made so far, Jim. So we can start on Thursday or wherever you'd like.
Well, yeah. First of all, I want to say a little bit about. Well, first of all, let's say tomorrow college basketball starts, and that's big for a lot of my clients, and it's been big for me over the years. But I will say this is going to be a strange year, and I'm not going to get too excited or go too deep with my plays as far as how much money I play on each game because we're not going to know what the hell's going on day to day, hour to hour. There's so many cancellations. I mean, it's just crazy. It's a crazy time, So I think the best thing to do is tone it down a little bit or a lot or just take the year off, whatever. I'd like to say something about last week. I've been doing really, really well. And my totals have been, I think I was on like a 9 or 10 or 11-0 run in the totals. And I was 1-2 this week, which was not in line with that, but it's not terrible. But then last night I had a big play on the on the Buccaneers, and I mean it was a great spot. You had the Rams coming off the big Seattle win. They got San Francisco next week, both division games. They have to travel across the country to play the Bucs at home, who were embarrassed in their last home game against the Saints. And I thought that Brady and company would get it together and they start to get in sync as the season went on, and you started to see signs here and there. But after I'm watching the game, I mean, the Rams take off. They start off 7-0, then the Bucs come up and they go up 14-7. And I thought, okay, we're starting to see some of that happen now but the more you watch that game, the more I felt I was on the wrong side, even when I was ahead for that time. There's something missing with the Buccaneers. Arians, the play calling, Brady. Is it Brady getting too old? Is it Arians and Brady not connecting? So I started to dig back through it. So I look at right now the Bucs are 7-4, and the 4 losses came 2 against the Saints, which is a very good team with a great defense. The Bears, who it's hard to believe anybody loses to the Bears the way they're playing now, but they do have a good defense. That's another good defense. And then, of course, last night with the Rams, we know they have a good defense, but we also know that Goff traditionally has been very poor under pressure. I'll give you an example. With a clean pocket, he had like 113 or 130 passer rating, but under pressure, he's like 30. So it's like 100 point less. And the Bucks have great pressure defense, and the Rams had their best offensive lineman out, who got hurt the week before against Seattle, and he'll miss the rest of the year most likely, maybe even the rest of his career. He might retire. But so you have all that going. Cross-country trip, which is their 5th trip across the country. It was a perfect spot for the Bucks, and the public was all over the Bucks. And then, more importantly, the sharps were all over the Bucks. All the bets and all the money was coming in on the Bucks, which is why the line moved the way it did. I was sick watching that game. I said, I am on the wrong side of this game, even though I'm aligned with the money, the sharp guys, and everything else. I'm on the wrong side of this game because, what it comes down to is this, and I'm going to say this, and I may be way out of line. Arians is not the head coach that McVay is. McVay had a brilliant game plan. He executed it. Goff executed it. And the Bucks were totally outcoached in that game, offensively and defensively. Look at how many yards Goff got on that defense. And everybody said, this is a great defense the Bucks have. Well, not so much. The Rams are a much better football team. Arians is not the coach that McVay is. And I don't know that Arians and Brady are ever going to be in line. I'm not sure. We're 10, 11 games into the season. And they're not. And Brady's not a young kid. He's got a lot of experience. Maybe too much. Maybe he's too old. I don't know. But some of the plays they called, why did they do this? Why did they do that? It was like the strangest game. I'm actually disgusted with that game. I don't mind, we all mind losing. But I'm willing to put my money down. I lose $15,000 on the game. That's fine. Whatever. But what are you going to do? I mean, I cannot believe how bad that game was. The Brady and the Bucks and Arians, they should be embarrassed. They're disgusting.
I agree with you, Jim. McVay rarely gets out coached. He hasn't been a coach many years, but he got out coached in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago against the Patriots. Well, that was Belichick, and I understand. But he's a smart young guy, and he knows what Goff can do and can't do. But to me, Arians, he likes to air it out. That's his game plan. They did it against the Saints. They ran the ball in that game 4 or 5 times, aired it out. They got beat. Last night they couldn't run that much, but at least he ran more attempts than he did against the Saints. It didn't go well. So now he has Brady throwing the ball all over the place. And, Brady made some bad plays. But Brady, he likes to go to short game and move the ball down the field. But in my opinion, the play that turned that game was right before the first half ended. It's 14-14. The Rams have it, I don't know, it's 3rd and something or whatever, and he hits Woods, and Woods runs 35 yards. If he would have ran another couple yards, they wouldn't have got that field goal with 1 second to go. That was a big play in that game to me, because instead of tied, you're down 3. Now they're coming out. The Rams got the ball in the 3rd quarter. Even though they didn't score, they had a little momentum. They should have never – Tampa, for as good a defense as they were supposed to be, they didn't put enough pressure on Goff at all, hardly. He threw a couple interceptions. Well, that's his game. So, he has good and bad. I like the kid because he moves a little for a big guy. He moves a little. Brady can't move. But no way Woods should have caught that pass at the 50 and ran 35 more yards. That was terrible breakdown in that secondary, which to me, I don't know. I'm seeing like it's so-so. I think the Rams have one of the best secondaries. But, Arians, it just was one of them games. We both lost money on it, and we were on the wrong side. But you could tell, after the first drive, I was a little worried when the Rams went ahead. But like you said, when Tampa goes up 14-7, I'm starting to see a little life. But when the way the half ended, I said, I don't like what's happening here. But then we get it to 24-24. We get a turnover. And I mean, and we can't get any points. So, I mean, you get 2 turnovers on a team. You got to be able to move the ball. You got to score when you're down there in the red zone or down close. Tampa, to me, with Brady his first year there, I figured maybe they'd go 9-7, 10-6, and that looks like the direction they're going in. I mean, if I had to pick four teams right now after what we've seen 10, 11 weeks, I got to say the 4 best are the Rams, Saints when Breeze is playing, Kansas City, and Pittsburgh. That looks like a Final Four to me at the moment. I mean, we still got 6 games left for most teams, so we'll see. But they're the teams that can play offense, play defense, good coach, good secondaries. They have all the ingredients. I mean, these other teams, they don't have it all. So that's my opinion. But I think, like you said, Arians got out coached. It isn't the first time, but with Brady, father time is coming. If it's not this year, it's got to be next year. It's just, because I don't think he's with the right coach. Like I said, he wants to air it out, and Brady wasn't in that. He didn't do that kind of plan with Belichick, except when they had Moss. When they had Randy Moss, well, you got to throw deep because he's a speed guy. But he don't have, even though he has those guys there, his arm, he don't have that arm strength, I don't think, anymore. He's 43, I believe. I mean, that's getting up there, Jim. Not quite as ancient as me and you, but we're still hanging in, having fun anyway.
Well, we're not trying to throw the ball down the field 50 yards either. So, yeah, well, he's got a great career, taking nothing away from him. But I think it really coming down to age does gets all of us. But the combination of Belichick and Brady was the magic sauce. That was the magic sauce that worked. And then, of course, they have other coaches there that did a fantastic job in play calling, offensive, quarterback coach, the offensive line coaches. They all did a fantastic job on the offense. And, of course, they had, defensive issues. That was a great situation. You'll probably never see anything like that again. Brady he's out of the mix now. I mean, we see both of the Patriots are suffering, and then Brady is sort of suffering too. I mean, when you're 7-4 and the only teams you've beaten are cream puffs, and the 4 games you played against good defenses, you got creamed. So it's pretty obvious to me. Now this isn't sour grapes. I made my bet. I lost my money. I paid my money, and that's the way it's going to be. You did the same. But that was a bad call on my part. That I would not, after seeing what I saw last night, I would never make that play again. I would not. It's just coach against coach. Totally, you got to give points to McVay. He's a better coach than Arians is. And Goff, I mean, given the right situation and coach, kind of like Belichick, Brady, right situation, coach and player. Goff is pretty damn good when he has the right coach and the right scheme. And he was good last night. Now, as far as this week, we're both coming off losing week. This week we've got games on Thursday. You got the Texans, Lions, the football team out of Washington, Dallas. You got Baltimore and Pittsburgh. We're going to have a problem with this Baltimore-Pittsburgh game because it's 4.5 Pittsburgh right now, and it's probably going to go to 5. And the Ravens have they got 4 new players just tested positive this morning. So I don't know what the hell to do with that. I mean, I guess you really come down to it. I'd probably just make a money line play on Pittsburgh and put a few dimes on it and be done with it because I'm not going to chase the number. I mean, we're probably going to see 5-6 if this trend continues.
I hear you, Jim. Well, I made a bet on it Sunday night after I seen the performance that the Ravens did earlier in the day, blowing an 11-point lead to Tennessee. I didn't like their performance, and I grabbed Pittsburgh -3. I had to lay a little juice, but I didn't mind. But I didn't get that. I could only get down a small amount. But like you're saying, if it gets a little higher, I don't know what is the money line right now because that's probably the play. I might look that way myself if it's not that. What could it be? 180? I don't know. Or is it higher?
Let me see here if I can find it. Right now, I don't see it.
Okay.
I mean, in a baseball game, you lay 2-1 on a great pitching matchup. And I don't usually lay prices like that, but this is baseball games, they play a lot more games, so each one doesn't mean as much. But Pittsburgh laid 2-1 on Pittsburgh in a situation like this. First of all, they're better. Second, Jackson is not playing that well. The defensive coordinators have figured out how to control him, and the Steelers are a better team. And I know there's revenge and all that other stuff, but I'm not gonna tune myself into that at this point. I would like Pittsburgh. If you could also tease it. You're going to get a situation where you just have to pick out one or two other teams if you want to, and go with that. I already played a teaser. I played the Lions and just for Thursday. I mean, it's a Thanksgiving, everybody watching everything. But I already played Washington and the Lions on a teaser. I don't know. I hate talking about coaching. I hate to bet any money on Matt Patricia. God only knows what happens with that team. I mean, but on the other side, you don't have much either. So that's what I've done so far. I think I took 9.5 on both of them.
Yeah, I could see going that way. I only, like I said, so far I laid 3 with Pittsburgh. That's a great number. I mean, I got a nice bet, but I wish I could play some more. But I wouldn't lay 5.5 or 6, but I'd lay 4 or 4.5 maybe. I can't see the Ravens. They fall behind. I mean, and you're going to be without Dobbins, without Ingram. You're going to use, I don't know who the third guy is, Edwards maybe or something. I'm not sure who he is, but they're going to have a tough time going to Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving night. The Steelers look like they're on a mission. They want to win them all now. Why not take a shot at an undefeated season? The defense is good. I mean, they're playing well, but like you said, you tease Detroit. I could see that a little bit. Washington, I could really see because I think +3 Washington might even be a play to consider. I mean, Dallas. I mean, they're both 3-7, so it's a battle for that ugly NFC East. I mean, why can't Alex Smith go in there and win a game? He's capable. He's played many games. So. And I don't know how Dallas came back against the Vikings, but the Vikings had been on a little run. Well, I mean, the Vikings, I don't know what to say about them. I've had them on occasion. I'm not in love with them this week. I think Carolina shows up every week and plays hard, even if McCaffrey isn't there, which looks like he may miss one more week. But if Bridgewater comes back and play, I can't see that he wouldn't play this week. Last week it wasn't that big an injury the way they were talking. So, and that's a short line, but they seem to be playing hard for that new coach. But I agree with you, what you're saying with Detroit and Matt Patricia. It's hard to fight them. But as a dog, Thanksgiving, they usually show up, but they got so many guys hurt. It's a tough call, Jim. I mean, Watson looked good Sunday against the Patriots. They played hard. They haven't played that good all season. So, for me, it's just Pittsburgh, and I'll look at Washington, and that would be it on Thursday,
Well, moving on to Sunday, the Raiders are at the Falcons. The Raiders played a really, really, really good game against the Chiefs, and they actually had them beat until the last seconds. But, when you give too much time to Mahomes, you're asking for trouble. That guy's just absolutely in another world. Maybe it's a little too easy for him now. It's just everything looks so easy for him. You wonder how intense he can be. It's like everybody else has to work. He just goes out there and does it. But the Raiders are a 3-point favorite at Atlanta, and I know you have a future bet against Atlanta, but I'm going to tell you something. I think this is a great spot for Atlanta. I know they got whooped last week. And I got kind of blindsided with that. I thought Jameis Winston was going to be the quarterback. I made an early play on the over in the Saints-Atlanta game, but then they switched to the other kid. What's his name right now? But
Hill.
Yeah, Hill.
Hill.
I mean, that's a world of difference in style. And so I got a bad number. I had a good number at the time, but when they made the switch, the number changed so drastically. So that was just a bad switch. It was almost like a COVID issue. Bad switch. I lost a bad line. But the Falcons are in a perfect spot here. And I will say this, and despite the fact that you made your play early in the season against them winning enough games, and they probably won't anyway, but you had a different head coach at the time, and they're playing hard for this Raheem Morris. And that is a big key. I think Atlanta's going to come up with a big effort this week, and I already played Atlanta +3.
I agree with you, Jim. This could be a tough spot for the Raiders. The Raiders, in the last year, last year, they've had some good losses. We'll say it kindly that way, because last Sunday was a loss. But boy, they show, they're right there. They show a lot of heart. They're playing tough. They're on the come now. To me, they're coming, and maybe next year will be the time, because Carr's playing up to his potential now. Him and Gruden maybe got whatever's going on ironed out, whatever. They're on the right page. They look good, but this could be a right spot for Atlanta. And yeah, they're 3-7 now. As long as they don't win 7 or 8 games, I'm good. And so there's 6 left. Say they win this game, they still have 2 with Tampa Bay. They got to go to Chargers. They got to go to Kansas City. And they got the Saints one more time. So the last 5 games,
they're not easy.
Even if they win, these last 6, I think at tops they win 3. And so to me, the best they're going to be is 6-10, and then I sweep the board, because I went under 6.5, under 7.5, and under 8.5. You were there the day I played those 3. I'm sure, when we had lunch. Remember? So,
I do.
I made up, right? You remember?
I remember vividly. You were sold. Now, I wasn't against it at all. I don't play that many future lines on the win totals, but with Quinn there, I thought he should have been gone after the Super Bowl fiasco. But but Morris is a different creature, because he's got these guys playing hard, and they like him. And not that they didn't like Quinn, but they just weren't getting it done. This guy's tough. Now, last week, I don't know what the hell, they ran into a buzzsaw and didn't score any points. This offense is much better than what they showed last week, and I think there's a lot of pride there. Matty Ice and company, I think they're going to put up. This is going to be a pretty good game, I think, and they're indoors, no weather issues. The Raiders are going to have trouble, I think, bouncing back after that loss to the Chiefs. That was heartbreaker, because they had the damn game won, but you never have the game won if you give time to Mahomes. It's just a big mistake. They scored too early. That was the problem. But
right.
I think Atlanta is a good spot right now, and I know the number. This is interesting too, though. The number opened 56 with the under favored, and that's now 55.5 most places. So there's been money to the under, which is kind of surprising when you look at these two clubs. But when you look at the style, the Raiders really use their running game a lot, which eats a lot of clock. And that's probably the reason we're seeing that. In this game, if it goes down too low, I'm not betting it right now, but I might be taking the over in this game if we start to see, like, if I can get a 54, I might go over this number, because indoors, of course, you got to check the injuries too. I mean, there's a couple players that have been hurt, and I check right now. You
got Julio Jones is the key guy, Jimmy. With him, I agree with the Falcons. Without him, no way. So.
Well, yeah, that's definitely he's one of the greatest players ever. So the next game would be the Cardinals at the Patriots, and the Cardinals went up to Seattle, they got beat. Patriots went down to Houston, they got beat. I don't know. I don't have a real good feeling. The Cardinals are favored in this game. I mean, this is a team from the desert going up to New England, and you always have issues of weather up there. That's not normal for them. They got away with it. I mean, they played in Seattle last week, which they usually have bad weather, but they did not. It wasn't terrible. Maybe a little rain, but it wasn't terrible. But that's a whole different animal when you start to play in New England this time of year.
I agree with you, Jim. It's going to be a lean for me. I didn't get down on any games yet except the Steelers, but it's a lean, so it'll be a play. I lean with the Patriots here. I'm under the impression that the Cardinals, it's a bigger game for them than the Patriots, but Patriots are still playing hard. And the Cardinals, to me, are a bad favorite team, but they're a good underdog team. And I'm going to stick with that for a little while with this young team and young quarterback and coach. And you go up there, the weather's supposed to be in the 40s, sunshine, but, it could change, but still in the 40s when you're used to the weather in the desert. It gets warmer over there than where we are here in Vegas. So I'm going to look for the Patriots to rebound. They're not dead yet in the playoffs. I know they're 4-6. Last week they had a shot. They had the ball at the end to tie it. They could have tied it with a touchdown. They were in the red zone. It just didn't happen. But I like the way they're playing. They're running the ball. I don't know if Arizona's going to be good enough on the road to stop that run game. So I'm going to give the edge to the Patriots in this game, Jim.
I don't blame you. Now, next game's going to be complicated because of the terrible injury to Burrow. Giants at Cincinnati. The Giants are 5.5 at the moment. I'd like to say something about the injury issue. When these kids come out of college and they get drafted mostly by bad teams, especially the best players, because the first, second, third, the top picks,
right,
they go to bad teams. Then you put these kids out there and they don't have an offensive line. They throw the ball 50 times a game. You're asking for trouble. Now you got your franchise quarterback getting hit. He's already been hit over 70 times this year. Already. And now he's out, of course, and he probably will miss all of next year. The multiple problems with the knee injury. ACL, MCL, and other injuries as well. So I doubt that we'll even see him next year. Now, this is the problem. I mean, I know people listen. This is just me. If I have a kid and he's that good, and I get drafted by a team that's that bad, I'm telling him don't go there, or make sure that you have protection, or don't put him in the lineup to get hit 70 times in a year, in half a year, and then blow out his knee, and his career is over. First of all, you don't make any damn money the first couple of years anyway because of the rookie contracts. So what are you doing? If I'm Mitch Lawrence and going to the Jets, if that's what happens, I'm not going there. It's that simple. Unless I get some real big upfront money, I'm not doing it.
I hear you, Jim. This is the same scenario as Andrew Luck and the Colts. They had the goose, and they never drafted a line to protect him. And where is he now? Out of the league, and he should still be in there playing, setting records. A big, strong guy like that, all the hits he took, and they didn't have sense enough to protect the damn kid. And that's what happened here, and now who knows how this is going to go. But we look at Tua. Now, Tua got a break. He ends up with Miami because he played, he had injuries at Alabama, and some guys were hesitant on picking him. And he went to a team now, and they're got a good coach with Flores, and they're thriving a little. He's going to take some hits, but he's not going to get beat up like Burrow, like Andrew Luck, like Darnold is getting beat up. Herbert's taken a little bit, but not bad. He's a big kid. He's not getting hit around too much, but I absolutely agree with you. These very good young players come out and they end up in teams that had bad years the year before, and some of them have had a string of bad years. So you end up in a bad spot. You see what, like Eli Manning, he didn't want to play with, I don't know, was it the Chargers or Denver or whatever?
It was San Diego Chargers, and they ended up with Rivers there, and he went up to New York.
And he gets a couple Super Bowl wins, and Rivers is still playing. I don't know how, but he's pretty smart back there. He's not a mobile quarterback, Rivers, but he hasn't taken many hits. But some of these young guys are getting destroyed, and it's not good. But in this game, I lean to the Giants. I know it's 5.5, and when would they be a favorite with the way they've been playing? And their record is 3-7. But you're going to go against a quarterback. I believe his name is Ridley. I can't see him doing much. The Giants' defense, to me, they're the best 3-7 team in the league. I think they might win that NFC East, Jim. And I think they'll give Cincinnati fits. Mixon hasn't played, and even if he plays, Daniel Jones has looked good the last month or so. They've come on and playing. They're playing hard for Judge. Like I said, it's hard to lay points with them, but it's under a touchdown. I got to lean that way. I think that's going to be a play for me.
Well, I probably won't play that. I don't usually lay that many numbers on the road, and the Giants they're okay, and I like the way they're playing. Dallas, talking about the East, Dallas has the softest schedule, but they might have trouble getting by Washington this week because we talked about it earlier. Washington's playing pretty good. They got a good head coach. You got Alex Smith, who's over the years he's played, he's had one of the best records, most consistent records. He got screwed over in San Francisco when they moved on to Kaepernick, but he's bounced back from that injury. It's absolutely amazing how that happened. But moving on to the next couple games, both of these have some stuff going on injury-wise, COVID-wise. The Browns, Jaguars, and the Panthers, Vikings. Vikings really shit the bed last week, and of course the Panthers beat. They shut out the Lions, but Bridgewater is a question there. The Vikings are, I don't know. Dallas played pretty well last week. Actually, we'll talk about Dallas. And Dallas played pretty well last week, and the Red Rifle came back from his injury or his COVID issues, and they played well. And they got some great wide receivers. And boy, I'll tell you, they showed up a lot. Their defense is not much, but they did some good things on offense last week.
Well, I didn't pay attention much to that game because it wasn't one of my plays, but he had the receivers and the Red Rifle come back from the concussion, and he looked good. To go there and win because Minnesota had been a hot team. Now, the only thing, the Redskins, boy, that defense is not bad. They're pretty stingy. The front seven, I think they'll put some pressure on Dalton. If Alex Smith can get a little running game, I don't know much about that team at all. I haven't played one of their games all year, Jim, because they're not a good team, but they're still in the battle. Everybody's got 3 wins in that NFC East, so you're getting 3 points. I know it's a short week, but Alex has a lot of experience. He's a winning quarterback. If I was to play it would only be Washington, but we'll have to wait and see. But this Cleveland-Jacksonville, like you said, Cleveland on the road given 6.5. I mean, Myles Garrett is going to miss another game, but it didn't affect them against the Eagles. But then Wentz can't get out of his own way right now. So, but can Jacksonville come up with a game like they did against Green Bay up there and lose by 4? But last week Pittsburgh had their way with them with that young quarterback for Jacksonville. I mean, Baker as a 6.5-point road favorite. Wow, that's way too much for me to even think about playing.
Yeah, I can't lay points with Baker Mayfield. I'm not impressed with him at all. I mean, you got to be impressed with their running game and the two-headed monster they got there. Coach is making good decisions. They're doing some good things, managing the game well. But they've had the good fortune of playing at home 3 games in a row, won all 3 of them. And but it was in bad weather. All of it was bad weather. So their offense didn't have to do a whole lot. They held down their opponents and they won them. But now it's going to be different. They're going to be down in Jacksonville. But Jacksonville's a terrible team. I mean, they won the first game of the year and they've lost every game since. This is a terrible team. So I'm not going to suggest to anybody to take the Jaguars. But if you could get a full 7. Which you might get. I mean, there's some extra juice on the favorite here, so you might get 7. It might be worth some money there. It might take a small piece for a plus 7.
I see 7 at William Hill, Jim, but and the juice is the same, I believe. But going, it's they're minus 7 even money to Browns.
Wow.
At William Hill. But talking about the Browns, well, they lost one of those 3 games to the Raiders, but that doesn't matter. But what I want to say is Stefanski, I think after week 1 or 2, realized I got to run the ball to win with this team. So last year they were like the 17th as far as passes per game, this year they're way down. They're in the 20s, I believe, now, because he knows he has the two running backs, and this way he doesn't force Baker to make a lot of decisions and win games. You know what I'm saying? So I think they finally may have got the coach right. Now we'll see how if they keep Baker, we'll see how good they end up this year. Because if they make the playoffs, I would say Baker, keeps going. But we'll see what happens there, and we'll move on to Carolina and Minnesota, and Carolina getting 4. If Carolina has Bridgewater, it would be a play for me, but I guess that's not decided yet, right?
No, I don't see any updates. I'm not getting any updates at all on Bridgewater, so it's still a little early. I'm pretty sure McCaffrey is not going to play, but they've done well with the backup. I mean, he's done pretty well this year.
Davis.
Yeah, Davis. He's played pretty well.
Yeah, he's played well, but yeah, McCaffrey. Well, it'll be 3 weeks this Sunday. I would say when he's ready, he'll go. So I mean, it could be a last minute. What was the problem with Bridgewater last week? A shoulder, a stomach? What was it? Because it didn't seem to be big deal.
It was a knee 2 weeks ago. And he's had serious leg problems before, so they're going to be careful with him.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the guy that played the quarterback last week, Weaver, I believe, he was in that other league that played back early in the spring, I believe, and he was on a winning team. He didn't have the best game last week, but he was going with Detroit that had a lot of injuries and all, but still, a 20-0 score. He did have one touchdown and 2 interceptions. So, but I mean, I believe before he played in that league, Jim, he played in the NFL somewhere. If I'm correct, I think they talked about that. But I mean, still, Minnesota. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get. They can run the ball. They got Cook. They got receivers. It comes down to the defense and Cousins, I guess. And you don't know what you're going to get with those guys. So I could never lay 4 in this game.
We're probably going to have to move on more quickly. I didn't know we were at 37 minutes. We're running up against time blocks here. But
okay.
Why don't you pick out some games you want to talk about going forward, and I'll jump in.
All right. Well, the next game, Indianapolis -3.5. At first I was looking at Tennessee, but Tennessee's defense is not that good. The Colts really showed me something Sunday. I don't know if it was just them or the Packers didn't have any interest in the second half, but we'll skip that. I would lay to 3.5 with the Colts here. I know it's for first place and all. I don't have confidence in that Tennessee defense. I'd rather have the Colts defense in that game. The following game's another possible play. Buffalo -5.5. You got the Chargers coming from sunny L.A. to Buffalo. Buffalo's off a bye. They're in the lead in that division. They had a heartbreaking loss at Arizona before they went on the bye, but I don't see the Chargers. They got a lot of weapons, but they find ways to lose. Even Sunday, they had a big lead against the Jets, and that got shrunk down. I'll move up to the Denver game. I like Denver the way they're playing. I like them at home against the Saints laying 6. I think I'm play Denver +6. The weather will be cold outdoors. The Saints aren't used to that, and you got the backup quarterback and all. I was impressed the way Denver handled Miami last week in Tua. 2 others. Kansas City, I'll lay 3.5 at Tampa. Mahomes and Andy Reid, I think they'll have a plan. I mean, like I said to you earlier, they could be behind 10 and still come back and win games. I think Tampa's going in the wrong direction. I don't like their chances in this game. The Chiefs are only 1 game behind Pittsburgh, so they're going to show up and play. And then I look at Monday night. I look at Seattle laying 5.5 at the Eagles. I mean, Wentz is on his way. Last year we had Winston a 30-30, man. That's good in baseball, not in football. I think you got Wentz going to go. He's 14-14, touchdowns, interceptions, plus I think 4 fumbles. So you got about 18 turnovers. His rating every week, 10 weeks, has been under 100. He's the only guy that has that credit to him, which is not a good thing to have. But I can't see the Seahawks will. Their defense showed up against Arizona. They got a couple extra days to rest. I know it's an East Coast trip, but the running game, whether Carson comes back or not, you got Hyde. I mean, and you got the receivers. I think Russell, they're going to look to win this game. I have no confidence in Wentz and the Eagles, Jim. So I hate laying points on the road, like I said, with them and the Giants, but I might have to because these home teams are not showing anything.
No, they're not. They're certainly not the same as they have been in the past because of the fans and stuff like that. But Seattle's going to be in good shape for this game, and they have the Rams won last night, and that's the team they're looking up to, and they've already lost to the Rams. So they have the Rams coming down the road, and they're going to be worried about that game, but they're going to not be able to stumble against a team like Philly. I think Wentz is way overrated. As far as the combination of him and this team, they don't fit. I'm not sure what the heck's going on, but I think he needs to take a break and go maybe move on to another scheme or something with another club. But we've run about as far as we can on the podcast timing. But Mike, I don't see you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Say hello to Albert, and stay safe.
You too, Jim. You and your family and all the people listening to us have a safe and happy holiday, and let's get back on our winning ways that we're so successful early in the year. And that's it till next week, guys. Thank you.
Okay, Mike. Thanks, buddy.
Bye.
Everybody, thank you very much for listening. I'm sorry we went so long, but we tried to be complete and talk a little bit about last week. And be careful with the college basketball. I see there's a lot of cancellations coming across my screen right now. I hope we can get a season in. It was devastating last year when the Final Four just absolutely stopped right in the middle of it. But it's crazy time. Stay safe. Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you next week.
Wondering if that free streaming site was safe? Know for sure with Cox Panoramic Wi-Fi Advanced Security. It protects your connected devices from online threats and sends real-time alerts, so you don't have to wonder. Click to learn more. Restrictions apply. Copyright 2020 Cox Communications, Inc. All rights reserved. Advanced security from Cox Panoramic Wi-Fi protects your connected devices from online threats 24/7. But hey, you're probably safe without it. Probably. Like how that free streaming website was probably not a scam. Someone's probably not stealing your bank info as we speak to buy a 4-story Chalet Grande. Yeah, you're probably fine. Or you could know your network is covered with advanced security from Cox Panoramic Wi-Fi. Restrictions apply. Copyright 2020 Cox Communications, Inc. All rights reserved.